Hi, I'm Rebecca Rosen, a spiritual medium and best-selling author. For almost 25 years, I've been serving as a messenger for spirit and helping people strengthen their own intuition. Join me as we continue to explore, heal, and ascend through episodes centered around your questions, channelings from spirit, and powerful conversations with my friends and colleagues. For this episode, I've gathered your most asked questions about manifesting, a popular topic among my clients and one that I wanted to do a deep dive on, given our role as active co-creators. We'll be talking about common blocks to manifesting, if we can manifest for others, and how we can create a life of abundance. How do I set intentions as clearly and effectively as possible for successful manifestation? And are there boundaries to how big, small, or specific they can be? Can they be big enough to create a life of abundance for myself and a partner who is closed to this concept and spirituality? Okay, so we're going to break this question into a few parts, and we're going to start with a little science. So, quantum physics teaches us that every potential possibility or probability already exists in the quantum field. And so, if you're wondering what is the quantum field, it's the invisible field of frequency energy that exists beyond the senses that tend to connect everything physical and material. Okay, so it's the field that creates matter. And, quantum physics also teaches us that we are living parallel realities, which is this concept that there's an infinite amount of parallel realities that already exist. They're also known as timelines, and that anything you want to create in your life, you don't have to really create it. It's already created. It already exists in these parallel realities or timelines. Okay. So it's more about energetically tuning to that version of you, the 5D self, okay? The part of you, the higher self, the one that operates from the heavenly feelings that we talk about of unity and harmony and peace and joy, compassion, kindness, and love. So it's about tuning to that energetic version of you. And then once you do, you can perceive of that reality and thus draw it to you. So all of this, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he is a teacher of all of this. And I often refer to him, Spirit does, in readings, because he has some excellent tools, meditations, techniques that you can use to tap into the quantum field and to call in your future self as if it's already here now. So you can get there mainly by being in head-heart coherence, okay? And coherence is the state where your mind, body, and spirit are in complete alignment and harmony with each other. And so a clear intention combined with an elevated emotion is the place you need to be to effectively manifest. And from this place, the heart informs the brain to relax. And when that happens, we move into alpha brainwave state, okay? And it then says it's safe to create from this place of abundance consciousness, okay? Rather than autopilot, maybe of scarcity consciousness. So a coherent brain that sends out the intention and a coherent heart that draws it in to us, think of it kind of like a Wi-Fi signal that draws it to us from the quantum field. Or you could also think of it like a magnet, okay? And your energetic field, it becomes magnetic. So in that case, there's a vibrational match between your energy and this field of energy. People often complain that their prayers aren't answered. And what Spirit reminds me of all the time is that all prayers are answered, okay? Sometimes we don't always like the answer, but sometimes the issue lies with whether or not you are in a place to receive it. So are you in a state of allowing or resisting? Okay. You have to become a vibrational match to what you're asking for in order to receive it, in order to see it. When you can lock into and hold this vibrational frequency, all right? That 5D energy stuff. Grace, ease, joy, love, flow, all of that. Then you start drawing the synchronicities to you left and right. Whatever you're doing inside of you is drawing the synchronicity from the outside to you. So our thoughts and feelings about ourselves on the inside, they just mirror our reality on the outside, right? And that's all the law of attraction. And it's also about being a vibrational match to it. So how you think and how you feel, it creates your state of being. Your consciousness and your energy or your vibration, that determines your reality. And so what Spirit says is the exact visions that you get in your head, well, they're really being placed there by your higher self and your team in spirit, okay? So if you have these visions and dreams or desires and they just keep coming to you, if you can conceive it, then believe that it's possible, okay? So don't let your mind get in the way and start watering it down or justifying it or feeling, judging it, good, bad, right, wrong, or questioning it, okay? So in this sense, really try and take all the boundaries off of it. There are no limitations except the ones that we put on ourselves. And that generally comes in through our limited 3D thinking from a mind level. And the guides talk about this all the time in readings. All right. So when we're viewing it through our limited 3D lens, okay, which is usually, influenced by fear-based thinking, then we tend to limit ourselves. And what needs to happen here is ideally we need to ask from our 5D self, which is unlimited, okay? It's based in light and love and truth. And that, when we come from that place and that intention, we bypass the ego's agenda. So it's really good to get very detailed and focused on what you want, okay? The more focused and specific you are, the easier, the faster, and the more specific the answer will be. I once heard of this analogy, like if you're going to order, let's say you want a hamburger, okay? And you go and you place an order and you say, I want a burger, and they bring out a burger and it has all the toppings, onions and lettuce and tomatoes and ketchup and mustard, but you just wanted a plain burger, just the meat. Well, you got what you asked for. You weren't specific, right? So be unapologetic. Ask for whatever it is that you truly desire. And then the other key thing here is be sure to include the feeling you're after, okay? The feeling that this dream, desire, or manifestation will bring you, not just the earthly details, okay? And then another really key thing here is to see it as already done. So this lends to the law of assumption. And Neville Goddard, he was a great teacher and influencer years ago, but Neville Goddard talked about the law of assumption, okay? It's assuming it's already done. Something you can, say when you're thinking about what it is, isn't it wonderful that? And then fill in the blank. Or, thank you for this. And so it is, and it is done. So you just want to assume it's already done. And what's really important here is don't worry so much about all the details, okay? You want to focus on what and why. What is it that you want and what's your intention or reasoning behind, that desire, okay? Surrender all the other details, who, how, where, when, to God and your guides and the universe. The other part of this question, okay, so I work with a lot of clients who deal with this, and that one partner is really open and flowing and connected and spiritually growing and evolving and doing the work, while the other one, not so much. And, that can definitely bring in some challenge. Sometimes you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So if your partner's not vibrationally there is this process that's called entrainment, okay? And entrainment is where you call their energy frequency up and in to match yours. Versus what I hear a lot Spirit talking about is, cautioning us against about dipping down, dimming your light and matching them where they're at, and then getting down and out. You want to do it the reverse, okay? Let them follow your lead. So we're all like human tuning forks, and we're constantly matching one another's frequency, especially if you're an empath and you are plugging into the energy of the person or people around you. You're easily influenced. When it comes to you and your mate, you are constantly entraining your energy to one another. Okay, so most of us are pretty unconscious and unaware that this is happening. So let's be conscious and aware and take control and set the tone for the energy. So that's a really empowered place to be. Take charge of your body's energetic frequency so that your partner rises up and matches you. Matches your wants, your desires, and the love that you want to experience, and the dreams and the miracles that you want to create. How do I stay out of my head and not get pulled into negativity, doubt, lack of self-worth, and other blocks to manifesting? This is a great question because who can't relate to this, right? Our energy is transparent to the universe, right? You can't lie to the universe about how you really feel. You can't lie to yourself if you're, conscious and awake. And you can't hide your true feelings. So you need to be honest and real about how you feel. And just know that it's par for the course, okay, of being human. Just know that we're all bound to have, thoughts and beliefs that may not be serving us, that may be what we would label as negative. And so you just kind of acknowledge, okay, it's going to be there. But the key here is not to really dwell on them or give it a lot of energy and focus, because what we focus on expands. So you want to simply acknowledge them and then shift the focus on what you do want to feel. When lack or negative thoughts come up, just lower the volume, okay? The mind and body will inevitably try and deter you back to the familiar unconscious patterns. That's just what the mind does when it goes on autopilot. So just consciously choose to replace it with the affirmative. And this goes back to my Change It, Run It, Tap It program that I talk about in What's Your Heaven and the digital content course I put out recently. The change it part is all about reframing the narrative. It's flipping it on its head. So it's taking what you don't want or the negative and, acknowledging the opposite. It's reprogramming these thoughts and beliefs that we may have adopted. And we could have adopted these either from our conditioning since childhood, and a lot of times those limiting thoughts and beliefs were projected onto us from our parents, caregivers, teachers, institutions, not necessarily knowingly, and they did the best they could given the level of enlightenment and consciousness that they were at. Or they were passed down to us from our ancestral lineage, okay, family patterns that run through your family bloodline, which becomes a part of our epigenetics, okay? And the epigenetics it's where our environment influences our genes. So a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking over and over again, that you've hardwired into your brain. So the opportunity here is to fire and wire the new programming into your brain. And the way you do it is you do it with attention and intention, okay? So it really helps to rehearse in your mind and feel in your body how you want to be. And you can do that in contemplation, in meditation. This is how you energetically line things up, right? You call it in by doing a rehearsal process. And then by, that rehearsal process changes the brain to look like you've already done it. This is what athletes do. Before they go out and they perform, they imagine, they meditate on them perfecting their game and doing it the way they want to see it done before they've actually physically, walked into it. They've energetically lined it up. So it's usually a lot easier, and you fall right into that intended desire. So keep doing it and you'll eventually step into it. It's about calling your future self into your present reality. So, how do you do that? If I were to boil it down, everything I've learned from spirit, it really comes down to head and heart coherence, okay? And coherence essentially means when your mind, body, and spirit are in a state of complete alignment and harmony with each other. All right? So, spirit talks all the time about we need to get out of our heads, drop into our hearts, and when you're in that place, you start to be able to, expand that energetic field of the heart, and that becomes magnetic. A coherent heart, it sends out a signal of those, heavenly feelings, the harmony, the joy, the ease, the peace, the love, the light that you want to, attract back in. Okay. So there's a vibrational match between you, your energy, and the quantum field when you're in that 5D heavenly energy from your heart. So it really is about that. So if you're struggling to get out of your head, Spirit always talks about just take 3 deep breaths and intentionally breathe into your heart. Maybe put your hand over your heart. That tends to call the energy down from the head, dropping in your body, into your heart. And, again, where your attention goes, energy flows. And from that place, you can start calling in the intended emotions that you want to feel, like trust, faith, and love. Please explain what it means to surrender and how that is different from giving up one's set intentions. Often my subconscious and conscious thoughts are in conflict. How do I surrender and still stay in a positive manifesting flow? So what I have found in my years of talking about manifesting and, co-creating and surrendering is that there seems to be a big misconception around surrender and what it really means. What it doesn't mean is that we sit back and do nothing. It simply means to show up in our life and do our part. Being super clear on what we want, okay, the what do we want, what we want to create or manifest in our life, and the why, okay, our intention behind that desire. And then putting it out there energetically, however you choose to do that. Prayer, meditation, journaling, vision boarding, and then letting it go, okay? Just letting go of all the details revolving around it. That includes like who and where and when and how. Because when we do it that way, just focusing on what and why, it tends to help get the ego out of the way, okay? Because our ego oftentimes has a tendency to decide on what it should look like and how it should play out. And what spirits tell me all the time is that divine order is the only true controlling force. Many of us have tricked ourselves into thinking and believing that if we try hard enough, we can control the details of our lives. It's humbling when you realize not so much, and that if we let go of our tight grip, everything will fall apart. But the irony is that our fear and control often sabotage our best intentions. We cannot force divine order and universal flow. Only through the act of surrender can we get into the flow. By surrendering the how, when, where, and who, we allow for situations and relationships to flow much more effortlessly. And as an added bonus, it is much easier to surrender, although it can be scary at first, I will admit. But it's easier to surrender because it requires less energy. Holding on to control and trying to force outcomes takes a lot of energy. And it's exhausting. Surrendering control is the release of energy, and it feels liberating and light. I would suggest put this to the test in your life, and ask yourself, maybe what in your life are you trying to control? And what is the outcome that you desire, and why do you want it? Just be clear on your what and your why. Write them down in your journal, maybe. For some people, you could create a vision board that illustrates what you want and why you want it. And those pictures or words, they activate a feeling in you. These can be small things like, a desire to be on somebody's podcast if you're trying to promote something, Or it could be a bigger thing, like you want to move into, a new house and you're leveling up. Whatever it is, just stay focused on your intentions and take daily steps to manifest them. And then surrender your tight grip on the how and the when your vision will unfold. Just every day, ask your team in spirit, your departed loved ones, your angels, your guides, whoever's working with you to direct you forward, to be your partner in this exciting co-creative dance. And, I encourage you to meditate and ask for intuitive hits and signs. Maybe ask spirit, what are the next steps I should take? Remember, guidance is often revealed through subtle nudges, not necessarily huge revelations, okay? It can be, quiet whispers at times. So you just have to stay awake and aware. Pay attention to whatever inspired thoughts and feelings come to you, okay? The extraordinary is often disguised as the ordinary. Can you manifest people back into your life or manifest health for others? If so, how? And does this go against your soul contract? For example, if you are meant to be alone, then shouldn't that mean that you are unable to manifest a partner or a companion? So this is a pretty meaty question. And in fact, I feel like it's almost 3 questions in one. So I'm going to break this apart. Let's start with this. We are active co-creators of our life story. And we have the power to create for good or evil, constructive or destructive purposes. We can create from a place of light and love or from shadow and fear. And, this is all part of our soul contracts. And soul contracts can sometimes be about Groundhog's Day, okay? It's all about balancing karma. And so we may be tested over and over again until we get it right, until we show up in our higher self and choose from that place of light and not shadow. So the first part of this, can you manifest people back into your life? Our soul contract can fluctuate with our life's choices and experiences. It's just a tentative plan that we prearranged before we were born that will likely play out if and when we embrace it. But these soul contracts, they're just an outline rather than a detailed layout of what will play out, okay? And that's due to our free will choices once we're engaged in it, and what will determine the quality of our experience. And if we don't allow it to reach its fullest outcome and highest potential, it will likely come back around again and again in a different form each time, sometimes resulting in a certain person circling back into our life to heal and balance our unfinished business. So when it comes to the question, if you are meant to be alone, then shouldn't that mean that you are unable to manifest a partner? Well, it would be nice if it were that simple, but it's not. And it's due to the fact that we are born with that free will, and we're born with a mind that sometimes gets in the way of remembering our soul contract and what's highest and best. So while our soul knows that we are meant to be alone, our mind may have another agenda based on the shoulds or the wants that we hold in our daily thought process, causing us to go against the current and then creating relationships for the wrong reasons. So can you manifest a partner even if you're not meant to? Sure, of course you can. But it doesn't mean it's going to be easy or fun once you're in that relationship, okay? In fact, if that is the case, it will likely feel like a lot of work. It'll likely feel like way more trouble than it's worth. And it will likely cause you to feel anything but good and grounded. Just because we have a loose blueprint for our life, a soul contract, it doesn't mean that we're always going to honor it once embodied. And we oftentimes neglect it altogether due to our free will choices and choosing to not live an awakened or conscious life. I once heard a friend say, and excuse my French in advance, but everyone has the right to fuck up their own life. And it's true. The universe is always showing us clues to our intended soul contract, or you could say the highest timeline for us, when we choose to pay attention. And we know we're on the right path when things are effortlessly coming to us, lining up and falling into place synchronistically, rather than requiring us to effort our way through it, forcing or controlling things. And when we are in a place of faith and trust in our divine plan for our life, and we allow it to be whatever it's going to be, going with the flow and in a state of grace, ease, and joy, we release any and all needless suffering, pain, and struggle. And that, my friends, is how you live a heavenly life on earth. And so the other part of this question, can we manifest health for others? While we can pray and intend for others, certain things like health and wellness, it's only one part of the equation. The person experiencing the health issues is ultimately responsible for embracing the situation and the lesson before them, seeing it as a part of their soul contract and what they signed up for before being born. It's about them getting out of victim mentality and into an empowered mindset of co-creator of their life. We can help them, we can assist them in that process by lovingly holding them in our thoughts and prayers, seeing them reach their highest truth and potential, which helps to energetically call them toward that outcome. We must remember and honor the fact that we each have free will choices, and at the end of the day, they must want it for themselves, and then call their energy into alignment with that intention. So, to ensure we are fulfilling soul contracts, we must be in constant contact with the divine, especially when dealing with important things like, should I manifest a relationship or a partner? Or should I be with this person? Or is this person meant to heal this disease and continue their life's journey? Who are we to play God? And sometimes our ego can get into judgment. This is right or wrong, good or bad, positive or negative. And we really want to try and stay neutral, step back from that. So how do we do this? You simply stop, you get still, go within to that place of stillness and get neutral. And then ask yourself, from what frequency am I making this choice? Is this coming from a light or shadow frequency? And then you pray for the highest truth, highest healing, and the highest good of yourself and all involved. And from that place, you will bypass your ego's agenda. And so to wrap that up, you could simply say, I surrender my will to divine will. May thy will be done. Please explain co-creation and how we know if it is working. We are always in co-creation with the universe or the divine of our reality, And now more than ever, because the veil is thin between dimensions. Our planet is shifting, and more everyday people are waking up to their ability to tap into this, tap into their soul knowing and their soul contract for their life. So when I do readings, what I'm doing is I'm tapping in to people's soul contracts or the loose blueprint for their life that they signed up for and all the lessons that they're here to learn. And I sense what's in the cards for, whoever I'm reading. And I always like to remind my clients, whatever comes through, just remember it's not set in stone. It's only a probability or potentiality in your energy field. And you have the opportunity to create it. There's potential because you're holding the vibration of it. And so what I'm doing is I'm presenting potential outcomes of what could be. And if you don't hold the vibe, it's going to be a miss though, right? So I can't read your future into being. You have to bring it into being. But it's fluid, much like water. And if you go with the flow and you stay attuned to this intention, you will likely manifest it, whatever the desired outcome is or life. And so going back to the idea that we create our own reality, when we get out of trust and faith and we go into fear, we change what's on deck, This is when we go into effort, controlling, projecting worry, doubt, and anxiety, and then acting out of shadow and fear. In addition, we are dealing with free will choice. And oftentimes this involves the free will choices of others involved in the situation, which can affect the outcome of any situation. So if you are in alignment, but someone else involved is not, and they're not going with the flow and the divinely intended plan, it can definitely alter the outcome. However, if it's truly meant to be for you, this is when spirit goes to plan B. It finds an alternate way, or it reroutes you to your desired and intended destination. That's why it's key to not get too attached to how it plays out and just stay focused on the what and the why behind it, okay? Trusting that somehow, some way, you will create the dream come true. So in readings, Spirit offers what you most need to know that's in your highest and best good in that moment of time for you and for all others involved. And just because predictive information is offered, there's work around it that you need to do to make that probability a reality. And so if something, is ever predicted, whether from an intuitive you've worked with or from your own higher self's guidance, and it didn't play out according to your plan, remember that sometimes your rejection is your protection. Sometimes it just means God has a better plan in store for you because things have shifted based on outside circumstances that you can't control. Or sometimes it means go back to the drawing board and pray on it, meditate on it, but from your heart, and tune back into the feeling you're after of this desired dream. Because if it's truly meant to be, if it's truly in your highest good, then the universe will reroute you and get you to your final intended destination. And so your work is to ask the divine, what is it I need to know and then do in order to have it? And then follow the guidance. Stay in the frequency of faith and trust. Let go, let God, knowing that what's highest and best for your soul's growth and evolution will come about. And that's why we're here at the end of the day. So the second part of this question is, how do we know if it is working? Well, it's really about taking a step back and observing and taking an objective observation of your life. And you have to get neutral in order to do that, right? You have to get out of the mind's linear polarity thinking of good, bad, right, wrong, positive or negative. You really need to step back, and in order to gauge if all the hard work that you're doing is paying off, what Spirit has taught me is that it comes down to these two things. The first one is the flotastic factor, I like to call it. So are you experiencing signs, synchronicities, miracles, seeing all the breadcrumbs along your path, on a regular basis? So when your life gets flotastic, all of the miracles start happening, and you just start to expect them as everyday natural occurrences, which they're meant to be, by the way, because it builds momentum, all right? It's an energy, and it starts snowballing. And the second thing is you want to pay attention to how you feel, okay? Your feelings are your guidance. So generally speaking, check in with yourself and see, am I feeling, for the most part, good, positive? Am I in a state of allowance? Or am I feeling kind of negative, off, anxious, afraid, depressed, and in a state of resistance, okay? Our feelings serve as indicators that whether we're in complete alignment with our higher self or not. And if we're doing our part as an active co-creator of our life experience. How do you know if you're exercising free will correctly, or if it is interfering with and slowing down my process of manifestation? The bottom line on this question is that really it's about, are you holding your light? Okay. Are you in a place of honor and regard for self? Do you have self-love and self-worth? Because your light and how much light you have within you really determines your worth, okay? Not your bank account, not your portfolio or the job title or status or anything else, material or external. It's the quality of your energy, the light and love, the soul part of you. and how much you're allowing that part of you to be the dominant part of your vibration, okay? And how much you're choosing to grow and evolve that inner light within you. We are energetic beings, first and foremost, and more than physical beings, okay? And we are becoming more and more light than matter as this world is changing. The energy on the planet is truly ascending. And we're starting to really witness that, our energy matters. So ask yourself on a daily basis, how do you feel? Because this goes back to the idea that, your feelings are your guidance, okay? And they're the strongest indicator if you're showing up in your life from your higher self or from your ego. So when you're in, and I say this like, yeah, we all have bad days, okay? Or we may have a great day, but we may have a moment in our day where we're not it's not our proudest moment. We're not our highest and best self. Okay, fair enough. We're human. It's not about perfection, but generally speaking, okay, you really want to aim for showing up with the intention to do and be your best, with pure intent, with a compassionate heart, in a place of kindness and respect for yourself and for others. And that's how the evidence is going to be if things are unfolding at a pretty even pace, pretty easily, pretty consistently, okay? Versus if you keep running up against, brick walls or, wake-up calls left and right or interference energy. And it's really, throwing off your vibe and your mood. I mean, that's obvious. Something there is off. And so you have to go within and take an honest inventory. Our outside world, the 3D world, is just a reflection or a mirror to us of what's going on with our energy, with our internal thoughts and beliefs and the vibration we're holding and our level of consciousness. So that's where we have to really take ownership. And if we don't feel like our manifesting is going very well, or we don't like the way life is unfolding, that's where we have to take accountability. But then there's power in that, knowing that, okay, change it. We have the power at any moment to get back up and in, out of victim into victor, rise up, call in more light, and make choices from that frequency of light rather than shadow. And so the final thought I have around this question is that this really, includes doing things that light you up, okay? Because that's always guidance from your higher self. If it brings you natural, authentic joy and peace and a sense of deep meaning and purpose, that's how you know it's good for you and that you're working with yourself, not against yourself. Okay. And when you're in that flow state, that's where all the earthly details fall into place. The money, the success, the consistency, the good health, your energy, it will naturally follow. Okay. So focus on doing things that light you up, bring you joy, and you will continue to cultivate that quality of light within yourself, that place of honor and regard for self. And in that, you are able to be a light for all those around you and show them what that looks like, and you give them permission to do the same for themselves. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Small Medium at Large. For more information about my offerings and events, and for additional resources on your spiritual journey, please visit my website, RebeccaRosen.com. You can also follow me on social media by searching @Medium Rebecca Rosen on Facebook and Instagram. As always, I am wishing you brightest blessings and all love.